Recently, I've been watching all of these videos about IT failures. First, the CrowdStrike incident. Then yesterday, I watched this video from Primagen telling a story about how some trading company lost like $400 million in the span of half an hour, all because of a deployment gone wrong. And I recommend you watch this video, it's very interesting. But what really prompted me to make this video is that somehow the public seems to be fixated on the question whether or not developers should be held liable. Because of course, developers make so much money, they show zero responsibility with their actions, so of course they should be held liable. And then when you watch the videos from Primagen or other influencers, they quickly dismiss these claims by simply saying, well, developers are not at fault because there was no correct process in place. And sure, I agree with that argument, but there is something more to these stories that I find personally extremely disturbing as an engineer. And I think there are some lessons to be learned and there is more to unpack. And so this is what I'm gonna try to do in this video. So what is there more to be said in the defense of developers? And what is it that disturbs me so much? Well, it's simply the fact that this is not really the first time something like this has happened. There have been failures of operating systems in the past, there have been security vulnerabilities with 0 days of notice. This is not a new thing. However, what bothers me is that seemingly none of these critical institutions like hospitals, airports, railroad services, pharmacies, and many others had no backup whatsoever. Like, are you really trying to say that you designed an entire airport in such a way that it's completely impossible to operate offline? Are you really trying to say that a hospital has to be connected to the internet to serve the basic needs of its patients without taking into account any kind of redundancy? Are you really putting lives of patients on the line by depending only on one operating system? Like, are you really trying to say that you don't have a backup Linux machine that can run some of the basic functions of the hospital without even being connected to the internet, that maybe has limited functionality but is always available? Like, for example, in civil engineering, when they design a building or a bridge or whatever, they always calculate in a safety factor so that, for example, the total load that the bridge can take is much higher than the expected load during normal operation, so that if anything out of the ordinary happens, we can stay assured that the bridge is not going to fall. Whereas it seems like the critical IT infrastructure of these really important institutions has been designed with zero redundancy in mind, and then everybody's so quick to blame the developers for pushing the wrong line of code into production, as if shit never happens in the real world. Even car manufacturers provide spare tires. Yes, they could say, well, isn't the road service supposed to do its job? Why are there nails on the road? But you can't build a critical system with this idea that everything will always be perfect. Like, even my bullshit side projects have backup systems, so that, for example, if one part of the system fails, there are other ways to remedy that situation. So for example, just yesterday in the payment flow for my app, there was an edge case where the payment provider wouldn't really send the necessary information for my backend to process a given order. But I did my homework and I designed the system in a way so that even if something like that happens, I can have my manual override and I can provide features to the users who actually paid for them while I'm out there figuring out what the fuck happened with the payment provider. But in contrast to that, it seems like no airport, no hospital had a backup plan so that in case something goes wrong with this Windows machine, we actually have something that we can run on a Linux machine when we have no other options. And to me as an engineer, this is really disturbing. Like, what other systems out there have a single point of failure that I'm critically relying on every single day in my life? And I don't even want to mention the fact that people are out there trying to blame developers for pushing wrong software. Every single software has bugs, it's just that some of them have not been discovered yet. And we have to take that into account. So this is the video that I wanted to make. It's just a reaction on current events. I'm really curious what you guys think about this. Let me know in the comments and make sure to like and subscribe if you liked the video. I'll try to post my videos much more frequently and I really appreciate your support. See you in the next one.